All right, good afternoon, everyone. First thing, before we get started for why we're here, I'd like to mention the tragic loss of life of a 73-year-old retired Chicago police officer, bomb tech, and reverend in his community, Larry Newman. He tragically lost his life yesterday at the hands of violent offenders who gunned him down. And I just wanted to acknowledge that and keep his family in your prayers. I'm joined here today by Chief of Detectives Antoinette Ursitti, Area 3 Detective Commander Rodney Hill, members of the Area 3 Detective Division, 12th District Commander Beth Giltmeyer, Director of Community Policing Glenn Brooks, 27th Ward Alderman Walter Burnett, Chief of Staff Christina Zayas, First Deputy Natasha Scott from the Mayor's Office and the Office of Community Safety, and Celicia Peterson from Hug a Child, Make a Change. And let me be clear with Chief of Staff Christina Zayas. She's the Chief of Staff for the Mayor of the City of Chicago. 3 days ago, 7-year-old Jaimani Amir Rivera was senselessly murdered outside his residence in the 2300 block of West Jackson. Today, we secured felony first-degree charges against a 16-year-old male offender. He was also charged with felony first-degree murder, personally discharging a firearm that caused the death, and issuance of a warrant. This offender was taken into custody yesterday afternoon by members of the Chicago Police Department and the U.S. Marshals Great Lakes Regional Task Force less than 48 hours after the shooting. For the past 3 days, the Area 3 Detective Homicide Team working this case has been fully focused on bringing justice to Jaimani and his family. These detectives and members of the Area 3 Area Technology Team have sifted through evidence, interviewed witnesses, and gathered the intelligence needed to charge this offender in partnership with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. They did great work to hold this offender accountable. And again, let me say it again, they did excellent work to hold this violent offender accountable and take him off the streets so that he can't destroy another family. I also want to acknowledge the 2 field training officers and probationary police officer from the 12th District who responded to the scene. They responded heroically. They immediately rendered aid and transported the child to the hospital in their squad car. While his injuries were too severe, these officers did everything they could in an attempt to save this child. I want to thank them for the way they handled this chaotic situation and the trauma that's associated with it. Jaimani's life was taken from him. For what? There is no excuse for this violence. It's unacceptable that we have Chicagoans losing their lives. It's absolutely maddening, heartbreaking that innocent children are dying in our city. Parents should not have to bury their children. It's not fair that our community members are continuously exposed to this type of trauma stemming from the level of violence that we're seeing. Please keep Jaimani's family in your thoughts. Their lives were changed forever in a matter of minutes. We're focused on accountability, but we are also focused on Jaimani's parents who need our support. I just want to be clear with one thing, and I want to give credit where credit is due. Chicago Police Department has done an excellent job of following up on this particular situation. I just want to make it clear to everyone that when a life is lost, our police officers feel it. Our detective division feels it. We're in the business of holding people accountable who act out violently against our citizens. We want to make sure that we take those people into custody so there is a level of comfort that we have taken a murderer off the streets. The people that you see standing here to my left done an excellent job of getting this work done. These detectives, along with other members of our police department and other police agencies, have worked tirelessly to make sure that we took someone into custody who shot aimlessly in the direction of a 7-year-old, striking him in the chest and taking his life. So I just want to give credit where credit is due and the work that's being done. But I also want to thank everyone who is standing here who has worked in partnership with the Chicago Police Department to get this done. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Ursitti for the investigative overview. Chief Ursitti.
I want to echo Superintendent Snelling in asking for our city to focus on Jaimani's family. They are going through the unimaginable at this time and need our support. I'm going to provide a brief overview of the investigation conducted by Area 3 detectives. Their work is why we were able to take this offender into custody within 48 hours of the shooting. Detectives immediately responded to the scene this past Tuesday and recovered video evidence of the shooting. The 16-year-old offender is seen approaching on foot before he stops and opens fire, striking Jaimani. The video shows the offender fleeing on foot. Members of the Area 3 Technology Center continued to canvass for video near the scene, and with the support of the community, were able to document his movements before and after the shooting. Using this video, detectives were able to disseminate the offender's image to officers in a bulletin seeking to identify the individual. 12th District officers recognized the offender and provided detectives with the identity. It was learned he had an active warrant for a failure to appear in court on an unrelated arrest. Additionally, detectives received an anonymous tip through the tip line that assisted in identifying the offender. Members of the CPD and the U.S. Marshals Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force were able to locate the offender at his residence on the 1800 block of West Monroe, where he was arrested. A stolen weapon that was not used in this crime was also recovered at the scene of the arrest. These homicide cases are always difficult, but it's very difficult when it's an innocent child. I want to reiterate the amount of work the Area 3 Detective Division did in just a few short days to bring justice in this case and a measure of closure to Jaimani's family. I'll now turn it over to First Deputy of the Office of Community Safety, Natasha Scott.
Good evening. On behalf of the Mayor's Office, I would like to send my sincere, heartfelt condolences to the family of Jaimani. As a mother of a young boy who is 2 years older than Jaimani, this hit home a little differently. While I'm sad to be here before you today, I am pleased that CPD has the offender in custody. This is what the full force of government looks like: collaboration amongst the Chicago Police Department, as well as the Mayor's Office of Community Safety, in conjunction with the Community Safety Coordination Center, that has provided wraparound services not only to the family, but to all parties that were involved in this tragedy. We will hold this offender accountable. The Mayor has stated over the course of the past week the importance of accountability, and this is a reflection of that. I will now pass it over to Shalisha Peterson from Hug a Child.
Good evening. I just want to say on behalf of the family, they are devastated and they are critically, mentally not capable to speak at this time. This is tragic that Jaimani's life was taken, but I want to thank the detectives for giving this investigation all they got to bring justice for Jaimani. Hug a Child, Make a Change is a nonprofit social service network that helps with resources for parents, gun violence prevention, mental health services, housing, and other entities that can help in these services. We're boots on the ground. We walk with the families. We support them. We're victim advocates. And we show them the compassion and generosity and authenticity in these time of needs. But we don't want to continue burying our babies. So we are going to get involved in community with the mayor's office, the city officials, and all gun violence prevention organizations that can help the police department keep our community safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Burnett. First of all, thank you all for gathering here tonight. We come together with a mix of relief and sorrow. Relief because of our diligent and dedicated police force has successfully apprehended the individuals responsible for a tragic and senseless act of violence. Sorrow because we must face the heartbreaking reality that another young life has been taken too soon. First and foremost, I want to extend my deepest condolences to the family and my friends of the victim and friends of the victim. No words can fully capture the depth of your loss, but please know that our hearts and thoughts are with you during this time of your loss. The swift action of our police department in apprehending the suspect is a testament to their unwavering commitment to justice and public safety. Their work often goes unnoticed, but today we recognize their tireless efforts and dedication. I want to thank each officer involved in this case for their professionalism and perseverance. But as we stand here today, we must also confront the broader issue that leads to such tragedies. This incident is a stark reminder of the challenges we face in addressing violence among our youth. It calls upon all of us, community leaders, parents, educators, and neighbors to come together and find sustainable solutions to prevent such incidents in the future. We must invest in our youth, provide them with opportunities, mentorship, and support systems that steer them away from violence and towards a path of growth and success. We must work to create safe spaces for our young people where they can feel valued, heard, and hopeful for a brighter future. This tragedy also underscores the importance of addressing underlying issues such as poverty, lack of access to education, and the systemic inequities. It is only by tackling these root causes that we can hope to create a safer and more just society for all. Let this moment be a call to action for each of us. Let us honor the memory of the young life lost by committing to make a difference in our community. Together we can work towards a future where such tragedies are no longer a reality. I also want to mention the other day when the superintendent and the mayor spoke, the mayor was frustrated. And it put me in the frame of thought of him being a school teacher. Having an idea that these were young people killing young people. And being a teacher, you know, as he was talking, I can hear him talking to young people in the class. Like, what are you all doing? He said, what do you all want in this city? We need to wrap our hands around all of these young people. I pray for Janari and that family. I pray for the other young man and his family also. Hopefully he gets some trauma. There's something missing there for a 16-year-old to be able to get a gun like that and also be able to take someone else's life. Hopefully he would get treatment, and hopefully whomever put that gun in his hand would be God also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderman. With that, we'll take any questions.
We'll start, Baker. Ready.
Was it a rifle the 16-year-old used
shooting, and are you aware if he was just shooting randomly or spraying in the air? You had said previously he did not target the 7-year-old. And if whatever the firearm, were you able to trace it? Was it legally owned by somebody else? Was there a serial number? Can you tell us more about the weapon?
Approximately 13 rifle casings were recovered as part of this investigation, and that is being processed as ballistic evidence. We do not have the weapon that was used in this incident recovered. And so at this time, based on the recovery of the rifle casings, we have the images that we put out there in the casings, and we understand it to be an assault rifle.
An AK-47, do you know?
We don't have the weapon recovered, sir.
Is there any indication as to why the 16-year-old was shooting and had the gun? And based on the video, you said he's seen running toward that direction and then leaving. Is there any indication of what he was doing before and after he shot Jay Manny?
We were able to track his movements before and after, but he was walking from one location to where he committed the offense and then returning to that same location. I think between the night of the incident when the mayor and the superintendent spoke, as well as now, we all understand this is senseless, and this is why it's senseless. We can't give you a confirmed motive for why this happened. There's no justification or explanation that would make it any better, but this is the senselessness that we're talking about.
Mayor Kawash, ABC7 Chicago. Now, I just want to confirm, was Jaymani targeted in the shooting, or was it another victim?
Jaymani was not the target of this shooting.
And are you looking for anyone else in relation to this?
Right now, we have him as our sole offender.
Thank you.
Hi, Andrea Medina with WGN. Can you give us a reasoning as to why this teen was at the Oakley Square Apartments? Did an altercation stem from this? Was there some sort of other reasoning? Can you tell us?
I understand it's the same frustration that we feel up here. We cannot give you a motive for this offender's actions. I wish I could tell you more, but this is the frustration that we feel up here, is that a 7-year-old child lost his life, and we can't give you any justification for this offender's actions. We explained that he has a criminal history. We have him in custody initially, as well as for an arrest warrant for another offense. And I understand everyone's here is trying to understand what would lead anybody to shoot aimlessly, not know who you're going to hit or what's going to happen. And I wish I could tell you more, but I can't.
Eric Hong with ABC7. So just to confirm, you have no indication this individual was even shooting at somebody at this time?
We don't have any identified target at this point through our investigation.
And where was he in relation to Jaymani? Was he on the property of the apartment complex across the street? Exactly where was he?
He was approximately 300 feet away.
Across the street, or?
It was a clear line from where our 7-year-old Jaymani was leaving his residence.
And are you able to say that there was a warrant that he didn't appear for? Do you know what the offense was?
My understanding is it's a robbery-related offense.
And just one just one last one for the superintendent. I just want to ask the same question I asked the mayor at Stroger Hospital on Tuesday. It's obviously been an extraordinary week. Are you planning or considering or implementing any changes to the summer strategy, whether that relates to deployments, time off, days off, anything like that?
The deployments are constantly changing. We deploy based on what's going on. So when we see a change in behavior or we see a change in particular types of crime that we see randomly occurring, and we're seeing a lot more random violence than we've seen in the past, obviously we have areas that we're focused on where historically we see this level of violence, and we've been able to reduce that. But with the heat and the number of people who are out on the street right now, we have to be a lot more conscious and a lot more aware of the possibilities that tempers could flare. We know there are guns out there everywhere. So based on that, we adjust. We make adjustments. And when we see things occurring, we make those adjustments. So will there be adjustments to the summer plan? Absolutely. But it's based on what we see on a daily basis. So we've seen an uptick in violence. We expect an uptick in violence when we see this level of heat, because we know the number of people who are going to be out on the street. But it's not an excuse for the Chicago Police Department not to try to prepare for that as best we can. And our officers are working really hard to make sure that we get this done. Usually in the summer, we have multiple events going on around the entire city. We make sure that we have deployments to those, and we have deployments to areas where we know there's a possibility for violence to occur.
Thank you very much.
Good to go? Thank you, everybody.
I have hard copies of the charge meetings here. If you want to take a look.
This has been breaking news from CBS 2.